Bitcoin is an ideology that spawned a protocol that created an asset that circulates on a network. The ideology is sovereignty, sound money, freedom and property rights, right? Dignity of the human spirit, ownership of your life force, economic sovereignty and immortality. That's the ideology of Bitcoin. And Satoshi gave us that.
Altcoins come and go, narratives change, but Bitcoin is the truth. The hardest money the world has ever seen. I thought about it, long and hard, pros, the cons, dug deep, questioned everything, and at the end of the day, you've got to make up your own damn mind. I have conviction. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi.
All right, legends, let me see. Yes, sound is coming through, pictures coming through. It looks like you can see me. It looks like you can hear me. Hopefully crispy clear, right? And let's do some technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. Okay, did not do a live stream yesterday. I mean, nothing has really changed from my previous analysis. Bitcoin is just, guess what? Ranging. Bitcoin is still ranging. Right, we haven't had that proper breakout yet, and is it time? As per the thumbnail, is there something loading? Okay, we will discuss some of the scenarios, and yes, there's also a very boring scenario. Okay, but I must say, legends, regardless of whether the range is going to continue, okay, regardless of whether the range is going to continue and bore the crap out of everyone, the probabilities based on this structure are still higher, even if we claim the low to move up. Okay, so this is where I am currently building a swing position. My swing position is currently protected. I have added to my position, which dragged up my entry ever so slightly because I had an amazing entry down here. But I want to maximize my entry or my profits here to the upside. So yesterday with this little drop, okay, that we had over here, okay, I added to my position, and then all that did is just drag my entry up ever so slightly, okay, ever so slightly, but still protected. And if the range continues, this is my plan, guys. If the range continues and I get stopped out, I will look for an entry further down. Okay, but I don't like getting stopped out with a loss. I would rather look for a new entry than get stopped out with a loss. Okay, right, that's just how I'm going to roll with this little swing trade that I've got built here. But now the question is on everyone's minds, this is most probably the question, are we going to break out now? Are we going to break out right now? Is it time? And this is what we need to analyze at the moment. Something that I just have to point out, guys, is that all of this still looks awfully corrective, which means regardless of what happens over here, we are still going to come and take out this high. Okay, so I'm still leaning more bullish from a technical perspective, not because I want to be bullish and I have a bias towards bullish. Yes, the technical analysis gives me the bias to still look for longs. Okay, so I am still in my long position. Okay, right, I'm still in my long position protected. Yeah, on Bitcoin, it's dragged my entry because last night I added to my entry. Okay, and I can tell you guys now, you know, I will still add to my entry if I see what I want. And I've got the trade open on BTCC, on Bluffin. The links are always down in the description if you'd like to come and trade with me, where you get the biggest sign-up bonuses and lowest trading fees. And today I specifically want to talk about Phoenix here, guys. Phoenix is a really great exchange if you haven't given it a try just as yet. First link down in the description. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. You also get 20% cash back up to $1,000. So if you deposit $5,000, you'll get $1,000 extra to trade with. If you move some volume, you get a Solana. Okay, and there's some activities that you can complete and money gets airdropped into your futures account. So definitely a great exchange. They've been around for long, and also an exchange that I've started trading on. Right, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes, okay? Because this little structure that is forming here to the upside looks very, very, very interesting. Okay, and there's a couple of scenarios that we can discuss over here. I'm in a long from 117,200. Beautiful, beautiful. From the tippy lows over here, beautiful to catch that because, guys, I mean, yeah, on the larger time frame, okay, on the 4-hour time frame. What can I say? This looks like a 5-wave structure, and this looks like a 3-wave corrective structure. So for the moment, let's put on our extreme bullish hats. Okay, let's just focus on the extreme bullish case scenario. And then we can talk about all the other scenarios that you don't want to hear, but we need to talk about them, right? In an extreme bullish case scenario, the best thing that you can see as a technical analyst is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you see a 3-wave corrective structure, and that is where the magic starts. You have your little trend. If you didn't catch the low over here, you have your little trend, and you wait for the breakout. High time frame candle closes above, and then you are basically targeting all of these highs to come and sweep up the liquidity. And potentially even higher, right? It can definitely go higher. And together in this live stream, we will go and calculate, well, what is that upper limit that we should be looking for? Okay, because it's always, you know, this is definitely a level where I always take a lot of profits and then I leave some of the position open for higher levels. So from an extreme bullish case scenario, what you would then say is, well, this looks like the impulse and this looks like the correction. Now, we already had a 3-wave corrective structure, and after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to see a 3-wave and continuation. That becomes your wave 3. This is your wave 1. That is 2. You form a 4 and a 5. Okay, 4 and a 5. And then the impulse is complete, and then all of this mess starts again after the 5th wave. Okay, so we are basically looking to trade this little bad boy. That is my favorite wave to trade, is the 3rd wave. They are the most aggressive, the most explosive, the most amount of volume. And when I see the formation of the 4th wave, generally this is where I take majority of my profits. I don't really wait for the 5th wave to complete because I want to be out before the police comes, because you never know whether it's an ABC or whether it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd rather get out of the market during this little wave over here. But regardless, okay, now So far, it looks good. And what looks interesting, so we're keeping extreme bullish, okay? We have a 3-wave corrective structure after we made this high. So for the bulls, you want to see, after you made the low of the range in a 3-wave corrective structure, you want to see a 5-wave structure to the upside, and we can count a 5-wave structure. So this could be now the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside. Okay. Now, if I zoom into the smaller time frame, like the 15-minute, okay, now this is where it becomes very interesting. In the extreme bullish case scenario that we are still talking about, you can see that we have formed a beautiful, do I still have it here? Local bullish. There we go. We have formed a 5-wave structure to the upside. Beautiful. No rules have been broken. It balances perfect. The 3rd wave, the 4th wave, everything is just beautiful about a potential 5-wave structure, except the 2 that retraced up until the 0.88 Fibonacci, but it's not an invalidation. Okay. Now we have formed what looks like a simple A, B, C here to the downside. And from this low, what you want to see for the bulls, you want to see continuation. Okay. And the most important thing that I always look for after you've formed a low is this structure impulsive, or is it corrective that is forming here to the upside? For now, in the most extreme bullish case scenario, it looks like it's forming multiple 1-2s. You have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and the more 1-2s you form, the more bullish price becomes and the harder the explosion to the upside. Okay, and at some point you want to see that rocket. It just needs to lift off. It needs to go. Okay, because if price is going to fall down here and make a deep correction, it invalidates all the 1-2s. There's no more 1-2s. It's not allowed to break this upwards momentum. Okay, so for this extreme guard candle here to the upside, that green guard candle with high amount of volume that just leaves everyone behind, the structure needs to remain intact and it continuously needs to form higher lows and higher highs. Because this is the most bullish structure that is forming over here is 1-2s. It's just building up 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, and then what you want to see basically to the upside is an explosion in a 3rd wave. And then based on how many 1-2s you've got over here, you want to see 4-5, 4-5, 4-5, 4-5. It grinds basically to the upside with a grind that started here to the downside. And when you get that explosion and it starts chopping like this, that is where I get out. That's where I take profits. When I see the consolidation, it's just because then I know it's now busy with the last 4-5s. It's going to start correcting at any moment. Okay, guys, this is the extreme bullish case scenario. This is what the bulls want to see. So let's carry on with the extreme bullish case scenario. Also, what you want to see, you want to see a break of this trend. Okay, you want to see a break of that trend. You want to see some high time frame candle closes above if you did not get into this long just as yet. And right, and then it's game on for the bulls. It's game on. Once we break out here, high time frame candle closes above, it could potentially mean that we are gonna at least, okay, from a trend line perspective, you at least want to claim that high if it successfully breaks out over here. And I'm going to talk about some bearish case scenarios because a good technical analyst, okay, always looks at both sides of the coins, but I'm keeping the extreme bullish case scenario hat on at the moment. Okay, so in the extreme bullish case scenario, the low is in, the correction is done, and you want to see continuation. Okay, and this is why I'm in trades. This is why I'm in long trades at the moment on Bluffin and on BTCC. This is why, because I'm speculating on it, and you know, you have to choose a side, and if you can get in with good risk management, that's the best thing that you can do. Right, so if I'm wrong, where's the pen over here? If I'm wrong, I don't lose cash, guys. Yes, I lose the profits, but I don't lose my investment capital. And that's the beauty about catching those little sniper trades and building your position based on conviction and technical analysis, because I can get stopped out with no loss. Okay, and then I'll look for an entry further down, SFP from the lows, okay, the 0.786 or the 1-to-1 extension down below. So there is still a chance, okay, always, and I'm going to talk about these scenarios, to come and claim this low again, right? But I know that the structure, regardless of whether we claim the low, is extremely corrective, and I will still be looking for longs. And hopefully I can then catch a long over here. Price moves in my favor. I protect my position. Always protect my position, because I need to preserve my cash. Okay. My job as a technical trader, guys, is to protect my cash. That's my job. My job is not to make money. A lot of people get it wrong. My job as a technical trader is to protect my cash. That's it. How well can you lose? Because about the thing about how well can you lose is that how do you manage your risk? How do you protect your position? Okay. Right. So this is the extreme bullish case scenario. Let's just put that ABC in there as well and put it here in the folder. Okay. We have a 5-wave structure to the upside. We have a 3-wave corrective structure, and you want this to be the low. And now you are building up 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you're going to get that guard candle here to the upside. Extreme bullish case scenario. So for the, how can I put this? For the people that are a little bit more, I think we're going to go down lower. Okay, let's talk about these scenarios. Maybe there's a chance. Okay, and I'm going to now just talk about the still bullish, okay, but a little bit bearish scenario. Maybe this is the impulse and this low is protected, but maybe this low is not protected. And this is going to continue for a little bit longer, because we all know that ranges can continue longer than the impulses. Okay, also something that I wanted to point out before I move on, guys, is that do you remember when you take a time fib from the low of the structure to the high of the structure? Do you remember when I said it's not time? Do you remember? Look how beautiful this played out. I will only add to my swing positions once the low is made after the 0.382. And now we have a low that's made after the 0.382 from a timing perspective. So the structure also balances from a timing perspective. The low was made after the minimum target. So when we made this dip, I was not interested. I wanted these lows to be taken again, because if this is the end of the impulse, you want the low to be made after the 0.382. Okay, so now the bad news. Right, we have now talking about the extreme bullish case scenario. What if price falls down? Yeah, and it invalidates the 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. What if price falls down here? Then what? Okay, we have to cater and we have to have a plan. Guys, you know, I always need to have a plan. If price falls down, what am I going to do? If price goes up, what am I going to do? At the moment, if price goes up, I'm sorted. Already planned for that. I'm in my longs. If price goes, it goes. If I get stopped out, I don't lose any cash. So my longs are planned beautifully. Okay, for now, unless I get stopped out, then I'll have another plan to the downside. But now the question is, what if price falls down here? Then what? What if we take this low again? Okay, so that's something that we need to talk about. So from a timing perspective, before I take the time fib out of here, it is completely normal for a corrective structure to even continue to the 2 and the 3 extension. The low was made at least after the minimum target. But if we are now considering, well, maybe this is still a bullish structure, but the correction is just going to last a little bit longer, which means price is still going to go sideways without taking this low. But this low could still be in danger. Okay. Right, legends, we all know that corrective structures can become very complex, and for the bulls, in the extreme bullish case scenario, you have a 3-wave corrective structure. But after you form, okay, this is where things now become a little bit more complex. After you form an A, B, C, you then form a W, okay, if the correction continues. This could now be a W, okay. Now, whatever is happening here could form a X, and then you go down for another Y. Can you guys see that the corrective structure can still continue, and it's not necessarily that this low is protected. You have an ABC and W, you can form a triangle in an X, you can form a complex, very complex corrective structure in X's. They love complex corrective structures. Okay, so maybe it's an A, B, C, D, E. It forms a triangle. It could even do that. That's then your X over there, right? And then you come down for a ABC in a Y. You take the low, you have 3 pivots, and then you move to the upside. So all I'm trying to highlight here, legends, is this is now the intermediate solution where this low is still protected, but the correction still continues. The correction still continues. We're not going to just fly from where we are right now. You could still form a WXY in a larger corrective structure. Okay, it could also be another larger ABC, guys, but you know, the point that I'm trying to make here is regardless of how you count it, it can be a WXY. It could also be a 3-wave in an A. This becomes an A. Then you go back up, you form a B flat that takes the highs. Then you go down for another C that takes the lows. Okay, but the correction can still continue. Okay. Right. This is why it's so good, you know, to get into a trade and protect positions, because you just never know what's going to play out. But as price develops, you start eliminating some of the probabilities and scenarios. Okay. Right. I think I've basically gone through that. Okay, so let's take this out the way. Let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. We can go and look at some levels in a moment as well. I also want to look at some daily and weekly levels. And guys, I know I'm focusing here on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the king of crypto. Everything follows Bitcoin. Okay. Altcoins has had a nice little pullback, double-digit pullbacks across the board. There's also an altcoin that I added to my spot bags this morning, and I did tell the Legends Pro community about it, so we'll talk about that as well. I'm only smoking my socks during the live streams. Stefan 1, welcome, man. Elizabeth, always great to see you here. Let me say hi to the community. But why is the move down only a 3-wave move? How can it be a C wave? You know, and that's the question, because C waves can be very confusing, guys. Sometimes you expect, and this is also something that I looked at last night, is that here on the 15-minute time frame, this is what I told the Legends Pro community, okay? This is what I told the Legends Pro community. If this is an A, B, C, I wanted this to take the low. I wanted to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it didn't take the low. But I have seen small little fourth waves. Small little fourth waves. This is maybe the end of your 3, and that is your 5. Okay, you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is possible. It's not pretty, but it's not breaking the rules. It hasn't invalidated the Fibonacci extensions or anything like that. So you can count this as a C wave. Okay? But if you now really want to be technical, okay, you could say, well, this is also an ABC. Okay, it's a 3-wave structure, which means the correction is not done. And this is why I am talking about the larger corrective structure. Because there's a chance, okay, that this is an ABC, ABC, ABC. You have a W or you have an A. And this is why I spoke about the larger corrective structure that can continue, because I'm also seeing what Dion rightfully so highlighted, is that this structure does look very much like a 3-wave structure. But there's a chance that it could be a 5-wave structure, because a C wave has to be a 5-wave structure. Has to. And now, because it looks like a 3-wave structure, I thought during this live stream, let me talk about what if the range continues. Because this could be your ABC, 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 and now you form another ABC, okay, ABC, ABC. You just basically three-wave structures up and down, up and down, up and down. You're continuing the range. And in those ABCs, you form a WXY or a larger ABC, whatever the case might be. I know it gets confusing, so I'm trying to keep it as simple as I possibly can. Okay. Right. What did I want to talk about now? One of the scenarios that I'm also looking at, Legends, is... Oh, I was busy saying hi to the community. Lee James, hi Dewald, great TA as always. I'm loving Mexi, zero fees. Yes, I also love Mexi. Means you can catch on high leverage and move break even with no... Yes, Lee, I enjoy Mexi and weeks, okay, for scalping. If you want to go high leverage, you know, positions, then Mexi and weeks for me are the best exchanges that I use. But if you're playing bigger moves, like on the 15-minute, 1 hour time frame, okay, you're playing bigger moves, like, you know, you want to catch the highs and you want to take profits when it hits support. You want to get into a SFP over here and you want to take profits when you hit resistance. So if you're playing bigger moves, fees to me doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how high the fees are, because I'm playing bigger moves. It just, you know, it pays the fees and puts a lot of profit in my bag. But if you're scalping, you know, you're getting in and out and in and out and in and out, high leverage positions, then you need an exchange with good fees, like Weeks or Mexi. Okay, and I do have the link for Weeks here down in the description. By using this link, you do get 25% discount on your trading fees, and you also get upgraded to VIP status 1. Okay, I do have a Mexi link. Okay, maybe I should put it in here for the next live stream, but just for some reason, no one wants to use my Mexi link, so I took it out. Okay, and I also don't want to clutter the description too much. Okay, so now let's get into a couple of scenarios that I shared also with the Legends Pro community this morning. So one of the scenarios that I was looking at is that, well, what if we are forming a contracting diagonal here to the downside? And you will see that I do have an invalidation for this scenario. Okay, what if this is forming a larger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It takes the low, it gets acceptance back above, so that's a trade that I will definitely keep an eye on. Okay, but now this is the problem. Once you've formed a 5-wave structure to the downside, you can form an ABC and continue the momentum to the downside. Okay, so this structure you want to get invalidated. This is the invalidation for this structure. If price continues to grind up here and it taps the invalidation, this structure I throw in the bin. Okay, this is why I have invalidations for all my structures. So I start off with a lot and then I start deleting them depending on how price develops. Okay, the reason this is my invalidation, just from an education perspective, is because a contracting diagonal is not allowed to tap the top of the channel when you draw a parallel channel. So you go to your parallel channel tool, okay, you connect 1 with 3, you drag it to number 2 over here. So basically, in a contracting diagonal, this 4th wave is not allowed to tap the top of the channel. So if it falls down here and claims the low, then you have a valid contracting diagonal. Okay, you form an ABC to the upside, you do not claim the highs, and you continue momentum to the... This is going to look very bad for the bulls, because this structure is the most bearish structure that I have at the moment, because this structure could go and claim the lows again at $114,600. There's a good chance if this structure is going to play out, because what do you get after a 5-wave structure? You get a 3-wave corrective structure, and you get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and this is where I will be interested in longs again after I get stopped out. I will obviously get stopped out if this had to play out. Okay, but I'm aware of the structure and I have an invalidation. So I want price to come and tap the invalidation, because a contracting diagonal is not allowed to be a parallel channel or expanding. And expanding structures, we all know, very rare. Never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. And usually I don't even look at expanding structures on Bitcoin. On altcoins, yes, I will still consider them. Okay, the lower the market cap, the easier it is to manipulate, and that's why you get expanding structures in altcoins, because the market caps for some of them are low, so they break the rules. But on Bitcoin, I don't want to see an expanding structure. Okay, so as simple as that, right? And that is why I have my little invalidation line over there. Right, so this is one scenario where I will then count this as an ABC, okay? Which actually, guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. This structure looks better as an ABC because of how deep the retracement went. It's not a preferred second wave target, but it's not an invalidation, okay? B waves loves the 0.8. They love the 0.9. Okay, they can go very deep without claiming the low, and then it's they inside flat territory. So you have an ABC, and now you have a 5-wave structure here to the downside. You form another ABC, and you continue a momentum potentially coming to claim the low. So, okay, for the bulls, they need to come and grab the invalidation. You basically just want price to tap that invalidation, which will, for me, throw the scenario in the dustbin. And I really want to throw the scenario in the dustbin. Okay, sorry guys, need to put my phone on silent. There we go. Right, I just want to see what else. That's the ABC that we've spoken about. Oh, and by the way, this butterfly, is it the butterfly that we spoke about? Played out beautifully. I mean, we spoke about this butterfly pattern when we made these lows over here, okay? And I showed everyone the image. Beautiful butterfly pattern, okay? That played out to perfection. You claimed the 1.618, and this is basically how you trade them, right? You take your fib from the C point to the D point, and then the 0.618 is always your TP1. This is your TP2, and this is where you close your position, right? So for those of you that do trade harmonics, the butterflies are gaining in probability, or gaining in popularity here on Bitcoin. I do see a lot of Gartleys on Bitcoin. I haven't seen a lot of butterflies, but lately I have seen 2 butterflies in the last 3 weeks that has played out to perfection. Okay, there might be more, guys, on the smaller time frames. I'm just talking about the time frames that I like to trade. Okay, so just wanted to quickly highlight that one. Let's see if I am... Okay, now, I want to zoom out a little bit over here and just look at this structure. So, you might be asking yourself, well, okay, looking at the entire structure, okay, what are we looking at if we claim this low again? Damn, again, okay? The way that I have counted this structure at the moment is a completed WXY. Okay, this for me is the prettiest way to count this corrective structure. You might see a technical or Elliottician counting this in a slight different way, but at the end of the day, it's a 3-wave structure. Whether someone is counting this as an ABC or whether they're counting it as a WXY, the end result is exactly the same. Okay, it's a 3-wave structure. Tap the range low, got acceptance back above. Now you want the bulls to start taking control, and this now needs to be a bullish structure that's going to take us to claim the highs. Okay. One thing that I have to highlight, if I take the scenario out the way, okay, because now this is the question that I got from a lot of people, is to say that, well, Dewald, what if the range just goes, it just continues, it just drags on for longer? Okay, then, well, after a 3-wave structure, it's either a W or it's an A. Okay, all of this can form a X, and then you can get a Y in a triangle, or you can get a Y in a flat that then continues, or you can get a Y in a zigzag that takes the low again, and then you have your triple bottoms. Okay, your triple bottom. So basically it means that after you see a 3-wave structure, you generally want it to be finished. But if you get another 3-wave structure and another 3-wave structure, then it forms a larger 3-wave structure. And this is why corrective structures can get so damn, okay, without throwing all the swear words here on the YouTube stream, they can get very complex. But regardless, guys, if we are still going to form a larger three-wave structure here in another ABC or a WXY, of which this was now only the start of the first three-wave structure, you get another three-wave structure and another three-wave structure, I am still leaning extremely bullish inside of this range. So the one thing that I want to tell everyone is that this range can still get extremely boring, where it just chops sideways for another 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. One thing I do want to check out is, well, is the corrective structure running out of time? That is now the most important question. Is this corrective structure running out of time, and is it getting overextended? So what I like to do is just look at my most bullish case scenario, which is this one. Okay, so there's 2 ways in which you can measure the duration of the corrective structure. Ideally, what you would like to see is you want to measure 2 against 4. Okay, that's the one way to measure it. So what I then do is I measure, well, how long did it take 2 to form over here? And I now see, well, how long is it taking 4 compared to 2? And you can see, well, it's getting close to the 3 extension, which is still fine. It can even go to the 4. If it starts extending beyond the 4, that's where I start questioning things. Okay, so you don't really want the corrective structure to continue up until the 7th of August. It needs to come to an end. But you can see that this low is actually, it's beautiful. Okay, where this low was made, it is actually at a beautiful place from a timing perspective. So if the range continues in another W, X, Y, you just want the corrective structure to at least finish before the 4 time fib. There's another way to measure it, okay, which is the way that I prefer. This is my preferred way of measuring it, is just counting this impulse here to the upside. So I'm looking at this impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After a 5-wave structure, you have a corrective structure, and then you have continuation. So how does it stack up against this little one? So you take it from number 1 to number 5, and you see, okay, well, we've only passed the 1-to-1 extension now. Okay, we can still go to the 2, which is the 7th of August, which is the invalidation for the, I don't care, guys. This for me is the best way to measure corrective structures. So if the corrective structure wants to form a 3-wave structure in an A or a W, and it forms another 3-wave structure in an X or in a B, and it comes down in another 3-wave structure in a Y, okay, ideally you don't want to tap the invalidation. So let me just take that line out before I scare the crap out of everyone. You want to form a 3-wave structure, maybe claim the low, that's perfectly fine, but you do not want to tap the invalidation. So all I'm trying to highlight here is, guys, this boringness can unfortunately still continue. But I am still, regardless of what's happening here, I'm looking for up. I'm still looking for up. Okay, the technicals are telling me that this is corrective regardless of how long and how deep it goes. Okay, as long as my invalidation is not tapped, I remain bullish. And I have highlighted an extreme bullish case, not an extreme, a bullish case scenario even if the invalidation is tapped, but I'm not going to dive into that right now. Okay, so let me, guys, there is still a lot of other scenarios that I can go through. I'm just keeping it simple so that everyone can digest what I'm trying to say over here, is that for now, this little structure is still intact. Okay, I'm still expecting a 5th wave to the upside, or at least one more high. There is a way in which you can count this as another 4 and a 5, which is more bullish. And like I always say during my live stream, I'm keeping things conservative, because you can count this as a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. I'm not going to go into that because I want to keep my feet on the ground and I want to take profits before the police comes. So also, invalidation has not been tapped. Therefore, I remain bullish. Whatever is happening here is corrective, because I really struggle to count an impulsive structure to the downside. Okay? So, From a probability perspective, unfortunately, nothing can get guaranteed. Okay, the probabilities are still higher to claim this high before we claim the low, or even this low, might I add. Okay. Right. So, guys, regardless of what happens over here, and I am still bullish, and I will still be looking for longs. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to quickly discuss with everyone over here is that, okay, remember, for those of you that joined the live stream a little bit late, I have gone through the extreme bullish case scenario as well, where the low is in. We have formed a 5-wave structure to the upside. This is a 3-wave corrective structure, and we continue. That is the most extreme bullish case scenario. Everything balances. It is time. Okay. What you want to see for confirmation is a nice little break of the trend. Okay, where's my little trend lines? Here we go. Okay, maybe you see a nice little break of the trend. Okay, you have to adjust your trend now to these highs. But something very interesting from a trend line perspective. Okay, if I zoom into this little structure and I switch on my trends. Okay, very interesting. It's forming a little bit of a bullish pennant, and it has already broken out. Okay, you've already broken out in a 5-wave structure. This is your 3-wave corrective structure. You're forming a bullish pennant, and what you want to see is, there we go. Right, so keep an eye on this trend. If you're not in a long position and you want to take a long, wait for the trend to break over here, because, you know, I just don't like the FOMO strategy. Okay, you need to have a reason why you're entering the trade. You need to know where to take profits. You need to know where to place your risk management. Okay, also, so let's just focus, you know, still on the bullish cap, guys. Whether the range continues, whether in an extreme scenario we take the low, in a second extreme scenario, which is not so extreme, we just take this low again. Okay, because this now could also form a WXY, and then it continues, but this low is still protected. So regardless of what happens over here, and I still remain bullish because of everything that I've just said. And also, guys, I have not seen CVD so bullish in a very, very long time. Okay, let me reload and refresh this. Okay, and I think I have spoken about it. Okay, so even with this little local structure that a Bitcoin has formed, you can just, it's insane, guys. Look at this, from the low to the high. Okay, where you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, A, B, C to the downside. Look at this little pivot, and look at this little pivot. And CVD is absolutely falling, free falling here to the downside. This is extreme absorption of shorts. Dumb money, for a lack of a better word, is shorting the market, and smart money is buying. They're absorbing the shorts. So you need to decide, do you want to trade with dumb money or you want to trade with smart money? That decision is yours. Okay, so there's a lot of things that point out that whatever is happening is corrective. But also, if I zoom out even a little bit more, if I go here onto the 1 hour time frame and I look at the entire corrective structure, okay, I mean, do I need to say more? You can just, it's insane, guys. It's really insane. Price is basically chopping sideways, okay, and CVD is free falling here to the downside. This shows massive absorption of shorts. Okay, right, so this basically just increases the probabilities that you're going to come and take this high again. Right, so the one thing I want to do now is to say that, well, Dewald, if we have an awesome long position inside of this range, where do you plan to take profits? Okay, this is what we need to work out. Where do you plan to take profits? Okay, let me go through some comments. Dewald, CVD is bullish. Can you check? Does it increase probabilities for the bullish scenarios? Adam, yes, it does. I've just spoken about that. Okay. Which alt is new family member now, Dewald, sir? Let me quickly dive into that, guys. The altcoin, okay? I'm going to give it 10 more minutes. I have bought a small spot bag of a new altcoin this morning, because the technicals just looked amazing. Okay, right, so now I'm gonna get to that. Okay, on a macro, on a macro perspective, if we are in an extended fifth wave, this wave 3 should be more explosive. Yes. Cycle ends in a contracting diagonal. Yes. Alicia, or I'm not sure how to pronounce your name properly. Alicia. Yes, there is that scenario. If I just quickly jump in here to the 8-hour time frame, okay, switch off the trends. There is, okay, let's just look at this structure. Okay, let's just, is it this one? Yeah, let's just look at this structure. And this is a structure. Oops, not this one. Where's my, yeah, here we go. Right, this is a structure that I am keeping in mind. Okay, an ending diagonal where your bull market is going to finish a lot sooner than what most are thinking, but you need to tap the invalidation, okay, for your fourth wave. Right, so at more or less $112,000, okay, which is, yeah, okay, that's the invalidation. If price does not take the high and it comes down first and it taps the invalidation, then this scenario starts carrying higher probability. Where you have an ABC in a 1, you have a 3-wave structure in a 2, you have an ABC in a 3, you have a 3-wave structure in a 4, and you have another 3-wave structure in a 5, and then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start the bear market here to the downside. Okay, so this is a scenario that you don't want to play out because it's going to give us a very short-lived bull market, especially when we start tapping the invalidation or going into the price territory of these highs over here. Okay, well, basically number 1, because in a contracting or ending diagonal, what you want to see is the fourth wave needs to go into the territory of 1. You want price action to go into this pivot. Okay, I know that there are some people that will say, well, Dewald, what about more 1-2s here to the upside? I mean, how many 1-2s can you still have? Okay, because you could still have a 1-2, okay? But even, you know, and this is where now things gets tricky, okay? Is this another 1-2 and another 1-2 and then it explodes to the upside? Well, there's a problem. There's a little bit of a problem. This is, at the moment, a 3-wave structure. So this can't be a 1-2. It can't, because this is a 3-wave structure. This structure can be counted as a 5-wave structure and as a 3-wave structure. So this one is fine. But here is a problem. You can't count this as a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. You can't, because you have 3 waves inside of the structure. So you need, even in a triple 1-2 or a quadruple 1-2. So if this is going to form a 1-2-1, it needs to extend 2 because you need another high. You need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to say 1, 2, 1, 2. Definitely. You can build 1-2s until the moon comes up. And, you know, it's just the more 1-2s, the more explosive and bullish it becomes for Bitcoin. Right. Anyways, that's a scenario that I did want to talk about here quickly. So we can switch this off. And then also, if you look at the daily time frame, okay, just something to point out. I don't know if I have it drawn out somewhere, but okay, a lot of people are looking at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you have an extended fifth wave, of which this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But there's also a scenario, legends. There's also a scenario where you have 1, 2, 3. 3 is over here. I'm not going to go through the detailed counts. And now this is your fourth wave, and this is your first 1, 2 inside of your fifth wave. Okay, here to the upside. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, can create another 1, 2, and then you start getting that explosive volume inside of your 3. So, I mean, guys, we can go and speculate here on the larger time frame until the moon comes down or the sun comes up, however that saying goes. Okay, there's a lot of scenarios that can play out over here. But the one thing I can tell you guys is that when I look at BTC on the weekly time frame, on the logarithmic scale, since the inception of Bitcoin, and I switch on the pi cycle indicator, okay, let's just keep it simple. I'm not going to go into too much detail. The indicator has not flashed. Okay, so regardless of how you count this structure, an extended fifth wave, fine. Triple 1 2, because some technical analysts are saying this is a 1 2 1 2 1 2, and at some point you're going to get that guard candle here to the upside, like what happened over here. Okay, there's many ways in which you can count the structure. So to keep things simple, and if history is going to repeat itself, which it has done perfectly since the inception of Bitcoin, it hasn't broken the structure just as yet. Okay, what you want to see, if I zoom into this price action, so if all is still going to play out exactly like everything has played out in history, is, let's just draw this out a little bit, this green line, let's say it continues here to the upside. You want price to break out, okay, of the green line, like it did every previous cycle. You want the red to cross the green over there, and you want your indicator to flash. Okay, so regardless of how you count the structure, we're still looking for up. Okay, if it's going to break down, guys, if it's going to break down and we start a bear market, it will invalidate history. It will break the 4-year cycle theory, okay, because it's never been invalidated. And I remember during most of, I wasn't here during all of the cycles, but I know that a lot of people have spoken, you know, some very seasoned technical traders that's been around for 20, 30 years, okay, they have spoken about every single cycle so far. And I was here during these two. So from what I remember is that during every single one, while price was climbing here to the upside, there was people saying we are going to go into a bear market. We are going to invalidate the pi cycle indicator. This happened here. Okay, and it happened here. When we were here, people also said no more. Yeah, people said no more. And I don't remember these two because I wasn't here, but from the technical analysts that I've watched, they said exactly the same thing happened. It's not going to flash. It's not going to flash. Okay, so you're basically going against data. Right, so let's go back here onto Bitcoin. I'm still looking for up, regardless of how you count the structure. And also, this little corrective structure, like I've gone through in a lot of detail at the moment, is corrective. Okay, there's no other way to say it. This looks awfully corrective. If you can count an impulse in this structure to the downside, in this, if you can count an impulse that's going to take us down and start a bear market, please share that scenario with me. I would love to know how you're counting this as an impulsive structure. Because it's very overlappy, okay? Taking the highs, taking the lows, it's corrective, guys. It's you know, if it smells corrective, if it breathes corrective, if it looks corrective, then it's most likely corrective. I mean, how do you count this as a 1, 2? Where's your 3, 4, 5? Okay, now you could say, okay, well, this is still your 1. Maybe you have a larger corrective structure in 2. So all of this is a corrective structure in 2. But you still sit with a problem. So if this is 1, this is a 3-wave corrective structure in 2, and now you want to tank down in a 3, well, there's a problem. There's a big problem over here from a timing perspective. Because if I measure how long did it take to form this impulse to the downside, I don't even have numbers, okay? It's more than 10, 11 times longer. So basically what it means is that your impulse and your correction is already more than 10 times even, guys, okay, which significantly lowers the probability that this is a 1, 2, and we're going to fall down here. So I'm really struggling to count an impulse to the downside. Very difficult. Okay, and that's why I'm leaning bullish. Okay. Let me go through some more comments. Doop. Only count as leading contracting drag on 4 hour. Only leading. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yes, there's a. I did see that. Okay. Let's see. You're basically talking about this one. You're talking about a 1. Is this a 2? And then you have your 3. Then you have 4. And you're going to form 5. Okay, let's see if it respects all the rules. We need to be sure, guys. We need to be sure. Okay, so if this is a contracting, okay, I'm rather going to start off with a parallel channel. Let's see. Let's do this properly with a parallel channel. Okay, you have to take it from 1 and 3. Okay, you connect 1 and 3. You connect your parallel channel with 2. Yes, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean. Okay, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and you go down in aggressive to the downside. There's one problem that I see over here. Okay, your fourth wave. Okay, so firstly, the good thing is your fourth wave did not tap the top of the parallel channel. Therefore, you could still consider this a contracting. You can still consider this contracting. So it didn't break that rule. But this is where I see the problem. Okay, your third wave is very long compared to your first wave. Very long. Okay, also one could argue that your fourth wave could be counted as an ABC, so that's fine. That can be counted as a four wave structure. Right, so there is a bearish count. Definitely there is a bearish count over here, but holy crap, guys, this is not pretty. I must say, this, I'm not going to go into too much detail, is not pretty for a third wave. Look at how beautiful. You can count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. You have a 3-wave corrective structure up in 2. Now, how on earth do you count this, okay, as an impulse to the downside? Doesn't make sense, guys. So yes, I see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this is a mess. It's a complete mess, guys. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so I'm still giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt. I'm still saying that there's a higher probability in taking this high, even with this scenario that, you know, people are highlighting. Came awfully close, but now look at the beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, not beautiful. It also counts better as a 3-wave structure in a 1. So after you create 2, you want to see also a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a wave 3. What is this? This doesn't make sense, guys. It looks corrective. Okay, so the most important thing that I've learned in Elliott wave theory, impulsive structures are the easiest structures to count. Okay, you either get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, easiest impulsive structure to count, okay, or you get 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, however many 1, 2s you want, okay, or you get a contracting diagonal where you form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now these structures are they are easier to count, much easier than corrective structures. So what I usually look for, okay, is that after you formed a high, can I with confidence count an impulsive structure to the downside? No, I can't. I'm struggling. You know, and the one thing that Elliott wave theory taught me is that if you are struggling to count an impulsive structure in those 3 ways that I've just shown you now, it's most likely corrective. Okay, so I see it. I don't like it. Is it invalidated? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Let's talk again, okay, once the scenario plays out, let's just, for now, I'm still leaning bullish, guys. I'm still leaning bullish. I don't give the scenario the highest probability by a long shot. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. Okay. 1, maybe a flat, okay? But then you sit with an, you see, guys, now I'm even going like, if this is 1, and I know, sorry guys, I'm hammering on this structure because it's very important from a probability perspective. If this is 1, and maybe this is a B, C, okay, what I'm trying to is, if this is 1, and this is a B, C, maybe your 2 is over here, then you still need a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It didn't take the low, okay? So it's still a mess. Can you guys see it's still a mess? Unless it's a 3-wave contracting diagonal. Unless all of the waves needs to be 3-wave structures. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 in your third wave. Okay. Yeah. Then it starts looking a little bit better. But then you still sit with this. Okay, anyways, legends, if you'd like to come and trade with me, I know I'm just having fun here with technical analysis. I've got the links here down in the description. Femix, guys, remember, okay, Femix, a 20% cash back. If you deposit $5,000, $1,000 gets airdropped into your features account. If you trade like you usually do, you could also get a Solana based on the volume that you trade. And I've got Bluffin, I've got BTCC here as well. All you need is an email and a password. Also, your way to support the channel costs you nothing extra. You only get the biggest benefits that these exchanges has to offer. If you want to join our Legends Pro community where I share the alpha on a daily basis first, that's where they get the alpha. Here's the link down in the description. Now, okay, I agree. And this is the only bearish count for now. Dimitri, yes, I mean, you know, the market will sometimes throw you with a scenario where you can count a bearish and a bullish structure, and they have 50% of playing out. But then you need to, you know, if you have a bearish count and a bullish count and they have 50% of playing out, then you need to start looking at other things as well. Well, what does CVD say? Okay, what does the larger structure look like? What is the sentiment at the moment? You need to bring other factors in as well to give one of those scenarios a higher probability. For now, for me, based on the technicals, I do see the bearish case scenario. I'm still in the camp of we're going to take that high. Okay, so something that I want to just quickly work out with everyone. Well, Dewald, what if? Okay, what if this is that beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside? What if this is a beautiful 1, 2, 3? We have finished 4 and now we're going up for the last 5th wave. Where do you plan to take most of your profits or even close your position? Okay, the most conservative target that I usually look for is I take a trend-based fib from the high of 3. Okay, you click to the low, you click, you drag it across, you click and you reverse it. Depending on whether it's to the up or to the downside, you might not have to. Okay, for me, conservative targets, let me see if I still have it in there. Right, is that little box that I have right over here. So these are conservative 5th wave targets. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where I plan to close this long position that I'm in at the moment. I will take profits at the highs, because that's just one of my rules from my trading strategy, is to say, you have, Dewald, you have to take profits. Did you take profits? If you did not take profits and price does that, bad boy. Okay, so this is where I will take profits at the highs, and then I will close my position when we hit my box. So it's between 125 400 and 126 600. But I've just shown you how to draw the box. Okay, so if we're going to have a nice little 5th wave here to the upside, okay, it can go higher, guys. I do realize it can go higher. So depending on your trading strategy, you can leave some of the position open for higher levels, or okay, I can't tell you what buttons you need to click on the exchange, right? But I'm going to just share with you guys what I'm planning to do. I am in a long position at the moment. There's a chance that the 3-wave structure is done. This looks like a 5-wave structure, and this looks like another 3-wave corrective structure. So this could form your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of your 5th wave. And then you have a corrective structure that could correct this entire impulse. Now, this is where things are going to get boring. You think this was boring? Wait until you make a fifth wave, because now this entire structure needs to correct itself. That's where people are going to get bored again. Unless, okay, all hell breaks loose and there's a massive catalyst that pushes this wave much higher. Okay, that's where things could get very, very exciting. There could be a catalyst that gives us an extended fifth wave here to the upside. I'm just going to be conservative. Okay, let me go through some more comments. Dewald, good morning, brother. The boat painter. Welcome to the live stream. Good morning, man. Ram, yo, 168 on the stream and barely 7. Guys, have you forgotten about the like button? Right? That's the only way you guys can give me some love. It's just by showing me your appreciation with all the technical analysis and the work that I put in here on YouTube, showing you the scenarios. All I ask in return is that you smash up that like button. Okay? Right. Check BTC dominance, Dewald. Alts bleeding. Yes, alts are bleeding, guys. And here, okay, here is a token. I'm going to check Crypto Big Brains. I'm going to check dominance now. Let me just take another sip here of my smoothie. I want to show you guys cover. I'm not sure about the fundamentals, but I bought this purely based on technicals. Okay, so what I like about cover, just looking at this little structure. Ooh, how high does this go? Let's see. Okay, right, just looking at this little structure, guys. I bought a small little spot bag this morning. Okay, love it. Okay, you have a trend. It's breaking out, okay, and most importantly, price is consolidating sideways. This is what I love to see after a massive drop, and price has that initial pump and it just goes sideways, and it forms a floor. Okay, can you see a nice little floor? And it's starting to break a major trend. That technically, that is where I get very interested. So I bought a small little spot bag of cover. You might know better than me the fundamentals behind the token. I'm purely just trading the technicals. If I go here onto the 4-hour time frame, okay, to play it safe, what you can do is you can wait for the break of the trend. You can see that I have my alarm set. Okay, so maybe it still continues, and then poop out, right? So trend has not broken, but I have nibbled this morning on a small little position over here. And if we break out successfully and we create a higher high, okay, I want to see that, a higher high, and we get a nice little retracement, that is where I will add to my position. But for now, I'm just nibbling here at the lows. So that is the altcoin that I have added to my altcoin family. Okay, the technicals, when I looked at it this morning, for some reason, I'm not sure why I clicked on cover. I was just like, ooh, this looks really good. Okay, it looks really good. Just looking at this little structure, I'm just focusing on this little structure from a trend line perspective, from a consolidation perspective, from a floor perspective. Okay, you made lows. Okay, and now you have done an RS flip. Okay, you broke out and you have formed support, which is what I call the floor. You've now broken out of a major trend, and this is starting to look interesting to me. Can it still dip lower like it did over here? Of course, okay, but it's a spot position, guys. I'm not going to go crazy with any leverage trades over here. Right, let's look at Bitcoin dominance for Mr. Crypto Big Brains, because I know the alts are bleeding. I can see the alts are bleeding. Ooh, let me just switch this off. I was like, what on earth is happening here? Let's go to the 12-hour. I mean, guys, dominance gets a bounce, and all hell breaks loose inside of the altcoins. We all know that, right? So what would be nice, remember, guys, you've lost the trend. Okay, I'm not sure. I think I'm on the regular scale. Okay, you've lost the trend. It's very normal. You've lost the trend and you fell down. So you could get a bounce, make a lower high, and continue the momentum to the downside. Doesn't have to come and eat up the highs over here. But, you know, market structure needs to start changing. So you want to see a lower high. Regardless of how high it bounces, you want to see a lower high, because then price is starting to roll over. Lower high, lower low. Okay. And then we could continue with lower lows and lower highs, momentum here to the downside. I did warn people about the bounce. Okay. I did say, guys, nothing goes down in a straight line. At some point, we're going to get a bounce, and that bounce could wreck you. If you're trading with high leverage and you're FOMOing into your favorite altcoin with 10x, 15x, 20x leverage, this little bounce can liquidate your account. Okay, and then you have no more fun with altcoin season. You know, fun is gone, account is gone. So please be careful. Right. Cool. Just logged Sui. Thank you. Can you please share more details on how did you add to your long position yesterday? I was also waiting for let me replay that in my mind. Okay, so let's go back here onto the 15-minute time frame. So for me, guys, when I see an impulse, okay, I'm trying to remember how I guided the pro community through this as well. But when I see an impulse in a 5-wave structure and I see a 3-wave corrective structure, so the one thing that I told the Legends Pro community is that I want to see a 3-wave corrective structure from a timing perspective as well. So I had my time fib over here. Let me play this out. And then I told the pro community, it's not time. I'm not adding yet. Okay, or I think I added to BTCC because, okay, but I didn't add to my Bluffin account yet. I said I'm not adding. If we go up and we fall down and we claim these lows, okay, this is where I will add. So when we took these lows, I added to my long. That's where I added. Right, there was also a trend-based extension. You take it from the high to the low to the high. You reverse it to the downside. Okay, and I told the Legends Pro community, watch out for these levels. Okay. So you basically, if this is an ABC or a WXY, it doesn't matter how you count it. Okay, 786, 1-to-1 extension, 1.236, 1.382 should be your maximum target. So if price had to continue here to the downside, I would have added. Okay, so these were the zones. But when I saw we got acceptance back because we dipped below and we got acceptance back above the 0.786, I was like, guys, this is a sign of strength. I think I'm going to start adding here. Okay, that's where I added to my swing positions. Yeah, it's basically what my, the process that I went through in my mind. Okay. That happened to me in December, long alts, and got wrecked when BTC dominance had the bounce. Rest in peace, all longs, lessons learned. Yes, Mariella, I think, a lot of people got burned with that little Bitcoin dominance gaining momentum back to the upside. Okay. Right. I think I still have a couple of positions underwater with that December thing, but it's fine. It's fine. I just leave it. I know it's going to recover. Some of them are back out of the water. Very happy with that, especially with the new positions that I've opened. Okay, Mr. Andy in the house, guys. Andy in the house, the legend himself. Andy, I've basically gone through all the scenarios. Okay, the bearish ones, where the corrective structure still continues. And Andy, I'm sure you will agree with me that from the most bullish case scenario, what we want to see is a 5-wave up, a 3-wave down that is hopefully completed, and this is building up multiple 1-2s, and at some point we're going to get that rocket here to the upside. That is the most bullish case scenario that I see here at the moment. Okay, then like I've highlighted, guys, well, what if this is a W? Okay, because you have an ABC. Okay, this could be a W, it could also be an A wave, but you have a 3-wave structure. Maybe you form an A, B, C, D, E in your X, you build that little triangle, okay, and then you get another zigzag down, you take the lows, but this low could still be protected, where you form a larger 3-wave structure. But I've gone through all of these scenarios during the beginning of the live stream. Okay, I have been long for weeks now and very small profits when all-time highs. Same here, Andy, same. I'm also still in my longs here on Bluffin and on BTCC. And let me just delete this here out of the way. I have added last night to my position because I saw the 3-wave structure. Okay, but I know that there's a potential for another WXY. You take the low again. If I get stopped out, I will look for an entry further down. But there's a couple of ways, guys, you can trade this. Okay, there's always a couple of ways in which you can trade this. It just depends on what your trading style, and as long as you can practice good risk management, because you could have a position over here. So let's say this is your entry. Okay, and you could have your invalidation at 112 and say, well, with every dip, I'm going to add a little bit to my position. Okay, as long as you don't over leverage and increase your position size like crazy. So, you know, if price comes down, so let's say we form a WXY, okay, you can add a little bit over there. Or you can say, well, I'm only going to add once price takes the lows. I don't know what your strategy is, guys. But if I was in a strategy where my invalidation is at 112, because that invalidates the bullish structure. If my invalidation was here, I will only add to my position when I'm in red. I do not add. That's a rule that I've set for myself. As long as my position is in green, I do not add unless I see a clear sign of strength. And a clear sign of strength would be taking that high. Okay? So, right. So you could say, well, if this happens, okay, I'm going to add. I don't know, guys. You need to figure this out, right? I'm just trying to tell you what I am doing. I'm currently in a position and I will get stopped out. If I get stopped out, I will look for another entry. Okay, and this is how I'm planning to trade this. But you could say that, you know, you're adding a little bit, you're adding a little bit, you're adding a little bit, and okay, price turns around and then takes the all-time high from a risk to reward perspective. The problem, the reason I don't like to talk about these scenarios from a swing trading perspective, where I tell people, okay, we're going to add a little bit here, and we're going to add a little bit here, and we're going to add a little bit here, is that people end up adding the entire portfolios. And then when price dips, there's nothing more to add. And by the time it hits the invalidation, the account is empty, okay, or there's 50% gone. Right, I don't like about building swing positions like this because people get wrecked. They don't know how to just, okay, I've got 3%, and every time I'm just going to add 1% and 1% and 1%. And once the 3% is up, I'm done. Then I'm just going to leave the trade. Okay, I know Andy trades that way very successfully because he allocates 3% or 5%, and then once it's done, it's done. Okay, it's done. You don't add more. I am going back to scalping from Sunday. I am back in Dubai. Swing trading is yes, Andy, swing trading is very boring. I agree with you. And I think part of the reason I've protected my positions over here, okay, is because I don't mind looking for another entry, guys. It's a very lazy way of trading, and it's also a very patient way of trading, okay? Okay, because I mean, I'm sure Andy has been in this position for weeks now already inside of this consolidation. I've only opened mine, yeah. I've opened mine, yeah. So, you know, but it's still boring, guys. It's just, you know, and I acknowledge that the range can still continue, okay? Right, legends, thank you so much for joining this live stream. I've unfortunately run out of time. Have yourselves an amazing Wednesday. And until the next one, cheers for now.